Hi everyone, Clint Thomas here from RKN. You know, it's summer and we have our college graduates coming home, and there are certain tax issues to think about if you have a son or daughter who has just graduated from college. There's actually 10 things I want to go over with you real quick, that just little things to think about. First one that's pretty obvious is, you know, who's claiming the dependency. You've been used to claiming their dependent exemption on your return, at least in prior years. For 18 going forward, it doesn't really matter since that's gone now with the new law, but just be mindful of who's going to be claiming that child as a dependent going forward. Oftentimes when they get out of school and they start making their own money, substantial money, then it's required for them to no longer be listed as a dependent on your return as a parent, and they start claiming themselves. Which can certainly benefit them as well. It may not have that much impact on you anyway, since the dependency exemption is gone, but at least they can start taking the standard deduction for themselves, which would help offset their income. So another thing to think about is student loan interest. You know, keep in mind that the types of student loans out there are subsidized and unsubsidized. Either way, they both start repayment plans 6 months after graduation. The student loan interest, there are certain thresholds at which point the deduction phases out. But just be mindful that the student loan interest, once it starts being paid, will become a tax deduction for your student on their own returns, most likely. So, and just FYI, if you're making too much money and you are in the category of a unsubsidized federal student loan, that interest has been accruing from day one. It doesn't just start once they graduate. So you probably already have a nice size interest accrual on that loan that would be great to start paying down. So just be mindful of that. It's something as a parent to be aware of on the different types of student loans. Keep in mind when your student starts work that while work-related educational expenses as a miscellaneous itemized deduction are no longer allowed as under the new law, since all the miscellaneous deductions are gone under the new law. But make sure you remind your new student or your new graduate that they should think about taking advantage of any kind of employer-assisted educational assistance programs. Employer-provided plans like that provide great benefits that are tax-free or pre-tax, so it lowers their taxable income, and they get the benefit of continuing any like graduate program perhaps and so forth. And of course there's also the lifetime learning credit after they graduate college that may still help them as well on their tax return to offset their tax liability. So think about retirement accounts. Number 4, you know, be really diligent in encouraging your student early on in their career to take advantage of maximizing their annual contributions to the 401ks, the simple IRAs, their Roth IRAs, and so forth. It will have immense benefits later on through the compounding of time and interest, as many people know. Health insurance, while they are technically able to likely stay on your plan until they're 26 under the current rules for the Affordable Care Act that's still in place. Many times when they start working a job, they'll have access to employer-provided group cafeteria plans, pre-tax health insurance that they'll probably want to take advantage of their own. And keep in mind there's also flex spending accounts that they can take advantage of. So staying on your plan as a child or a dependent or whatever on your current plan, even after they graduate, may not be needed. So just be mindful of health insurance. Graduation gifts. Gifts to the recipient are not taxable. Gifts, you know, the person giving the gift may not have a gift tax liability either, depending on the amount. So if you have any questions on that, let us know. There are ways to strategize on a gifting strategy that would be beneficial to both sides. So just keep in mind on how to properly report graduation gifts if needed. Side gigs, something else to consider. You know, not all graduates get a full-time job in their career right away, so they may work a side gig, side job here and there. Just be mindful that if they work some kind of a job that's like a self-employed status, encourage them to keep track of all their expenses, their mileage, so that you know, we can at least help offset the income earned through deducting the expenses related to that income. So it's important to keep track of that so we can minimize their self-employment tax. No more moving expenses. So if they do move out of the area, unless they're related to active duty and changing bases and so forth, the moving expense deduction is gone. So just be mindful of that. You can obviously still help them move and cover some moving expenses if needed, but it won't become a tax issue under the new law. So moving expenses are axed. If they start a job mid-year, obviously they graduate in May, they're going to start some jobs mid-year, hopefully. Hopefully they have their job lined up. Think about asking their employer for part-year withholding rates instead of the annual withholding rates. There might be some benefit there so that they don't have so much tax withheld on the regular tables. Just think about encouraging them to ask their employer about part-year withholding. And then finally, excuse me, record keeping is important as we teach our kids to adult. That record keeping is very important. Keep their expenses, their receipts, their tax documents in a place that they can be found easily, be organized. That way their tax professional can help them accurately and completely file their tax returns. So all part of growing up and graduating and starting life. So if you have any questions on all this, give me a ring. But hopefully this helps those who have kids who graduate in college, and hope you have a good day. Take care.